Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are working on a 2011 Volkswagen Jetta 2.5 SE with 194,000 highway miles, baby. This is a 5-speed manual, and the service we're going to be performing is spark plugs and ignition coils. Disclaimer, I'm a professional driveway mechanic. Just kidding, I wrench for fun on the weekends to save money on maintenance and to fix my own vehicles. I am not a professional by any means, but I am a competent, capable, and equipped DIYer. This is a pretty simple job that will help your engine to function better. It's pretty routine, basic maintenance. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is remove that air box and intake hose, and we're gonna achieve this by using a Torx T25. As I pointed out earlier in the video, there are 4 arrows of spots you can pull screws from. I prefer to do the 2 to the frontmost of the car, and that is to give me the most space possible when I'm actually pulling this off this air box. So I'll bust these 2 pretty quickly. Won't take long at all. If you don't like taking the plastics off your vehicle or hunting around in the dark in a tight space, I would suggest using something magnetic to take these off, or just handling with extreme care so you don't drop them down to the engine bay. But as you can see, the air tube is now free, so we are free to remove the air box from the top of the motor. It's secured by 4 rubber grommets on the bottom, and they're slipped over 4 posts on the top of the motor. So I just pull up on this one corner, and usually they all loosen up, or most. In this case, 3 of the 4. Also, you'll need to remove this last air hose. And to achieve this, I like to use a set of clamp pliers. There's a tooth on one end and a flat side on the other that allows us to grab these clamps really really quickly, especially Volkswagen and Audi. It just makes the job a lot more simple. Definitely a must-have tool I would recommend for anyone who's doing any kind of hose work. Otherwise, a pair of pliers will do. So now we're just going to pull that tube off, and that frees up the air box, and then we take the whole unit off, as you can see. So that reveals the top of the motor and 5 ignition coils on this 5-cylinder vehicle. Yeah, if you didn't know, your Volkswagen, your 2011 2.5 SE is a 5-cylinder. So we're going to start out by loosening up these ignition coils. This can be achieved with some sort of flat prying tool. These coils had grooves in them, so I chose to use the grooves instead of scratching and marring up the valve cover. If you use a plastic pry tool, you can pry off the valve cover without damaging it. And you can hear the coils lifting out of the socket. Sped that up a bit for you. So now you'll see I'm removing the electrical connectors. I've just lifted these ignition coils up out of the socket a bit, just to make it a little easier to get these off. I'm not trying to take them all the way out, but the best way that I found to get these out is to push in on the connector, depress the tab, and then try to pull the connector apart. It just seemed to be the most effective way to get these off. Now we're going to work on that last one. Sped this up a little bit for you. And a little bit of love and effort, it does come free. So we'll just get that out of the way so we can remove each one of these ignition coils. First, we want to clean off this surface. Just don't want any of this dirt or grime dropping down. I also use compressed air to sort of clean this up a bit. So I'll pop these ignition coils out one at a time and do a little inspection. Just look for anything suspicious. All these appear to be OEM, and most were in decent condition. However, I was unsure the last time the service was done, so I wanted to replace them all. And I did notice some corrosion here on this last one. If you're reusing your ignition coils, I suggest replacing them back into the hole that they came from once you do replace the spark plugs. It's just a good troubleshooting tip if you have any issues. And I did save these OEM ignition coils just in case I have an issue. So I look down into the head there and I see there's nothing really in there. I just check again, just a little wipe to make sure that there's no oil or anything like that on my rag. All these were dry, seem pretty good. No major issues at all. So you will need a 5/8 inch spark plug socket. Usually these have a rubber boot or a combination of a rubber boot and a magnet like this one. This aids in pulling the plug out of the socket. Additionally, you'll need a 3/8 inch extension, around 8 to 10 inches, and a 3/8 inch drive ratchet. So I will go through and take my time loosening each one of these. That's the right way. I think that's the wrong way. Got to do it the right way. Okay, I think we got it now. So we'll go ahead and loosen these up one by one. Speed this up for you a bit. I go through a couple of times before I start to take them out and perform my inspection. All right, I'll take these out. You can see some discoloration on the camera there very quickly. I will do a comparison of two, a new and old, here in just a moment. As I take these out, I like to place a rag over top of the hole. Just don't want anything falling down in there, so whenever possible. I'll pop this last one out. All kinds of wear is possible. Discoloration is normal, but you know, a variety of conditions, running too rich, too lean. You could have issues with seals where you're getting oil up into this area, and that can foul plugs. So you want to take a look at each one and make sure you don't have any issues you can diagnose right off the top there. And you can see the old one on the left and the new one on the right. Clear difference with the color. Mine were just worn. The electrode was slightly rounded as opposed to the nice straight and sharp point that's on the new one. These were double platinum, so these are pre-gapped. You do not have to gap these spark plugs if you're using them. So now you can also see the ignition coils side by side, the OEM original on the right and the Duralast replacement on the left. You can see some corrosion on the one on the right. So we're gonna go ahead and replace these as well. Dirty spark plug, go away. All right, dielectric grease. This is your friend. I like to use some of this down in the bottom of the ignition coil on the surface that goes over top of the spark plug, as well as inside of the connectors on the wire harness that hook up to the ignition coils. So I like to get that in there and just smear it around, make sure I put a decent amount in there, just to keep some moisture out. Helps with corrosion, provides a better connection. So when I start these spark plugs, you'll notice I don't use the ratchet. That's because I don't want to cross thread, so hand tight is the best, finger tight. So what I've learned to do is to reverse these threads slightly, just to make sure that the plug is seated straight. So I go in a counterclockwise until I'm sure that the plug is in straight, and then I start to finger tighten down in a clockwise manner. Just finger tight, like I said. And I'll run through these as well. Reverse click, forward click, as my boy Rain Man Ray would say. And you can see I'm pulling these towels off as I get the spark plugs in, not taking a chance on introducing any foreign material inside of the motor if possible. All right. So now I'll just snug these down with my regular 3/8 inch ratchet. I'm not torquing these to any kind of spec at this point, just torquing them down so they're tight inside of the top of the motor there. And once I'm satisfied, I will apply some more dielectric grease to my connectors on the wire harness, prep those for getting ready to put with the ignition coils. And we're going to torque these. The torque spec on this is 18 foot-pounds. Pretty simple. So now I'm going to drop the ignition coils back into their slots. These are all fresh, so I'm going to put them where they go. I'm not going to push them all the way down yet. First, I'm going to make the connection. I'll make sure I click everything in. Nice and tight. You'll hear everything click. And once I get them all snapped in and I'm satisfied and I've double and triple checked, I will then push the ignition coils all the way down into their home. Once I'm satisfied and everything is nice and tight, I will give it my seal of approval, start the vehicle. Once I reverse the process to reconnect the airbox, make sure everything is running good. And give it a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching the video. I hope this helped you. If it did, please drop a like. If it didn't, please drop a dislike and tell me how I absolutely ruined this vehicle. Please like and subscribe for more car maintenance, PC, and or video game content. Again, thanks for watching.